I talked about abandonment in my previous video, but now I want to touch on something that's just as equally hard to gauge, and it's fakeness. A lot of people can have different definitions on what fakeness and fake friends are, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to try to give a very beautifully put, yet some hopefully still understandable way to explain it. Fakeness, plain and simple, is being in a dynamic with an individual who you don't like for any possible reason, but you decide to mask that by playing nice and never being upfront with gripes or concerns about this person, either out of fear of confrontation or just as purposefully as a manipulative tactic. In contrast to taking the otherwise rational approach of informing a person on where they're slipping up a bit so that they can fix that so as to keep the relationship healthy. If that's still too complicated, I can dumb it down a little bit. Let's say that you're friends with somebody and either you don't like them or they don't like you for whatever reason. You know what? People got different reasons for fucking everything. But instead of expressing why you don't like that person or that person explaining why they don't like you, they do the complete fucking opposite. They let issues of any magnitude slip under the rug. And what happens when you don't tell someone where they're slipping up? They don't fucking change. And you know why they're not going to change? Because they don't know what the fuck they're doing wrong. It seems obvious that if you actually give a shit about maintaining a relationship with somebody, you're going to tell them where they're slipping up so that it doesn't happen again. But unfortunately, people just don't want to do that. People are legitimately so busy in their own tiny little worlds that they can't be bothered to send at least an informal text to let you know, hey, I don't like this, stop it. The even more confusing aspect to this sometimes is the question of like, okay, well, if they don't like you, obviously, why do they keep you around? Why do they have you added on Discord or Snapchat, Instagram? Why do they have your phone number saved? And it's something that, like, I would love to understand the psychology of so that I can console people and also begin to understand some aspects about my own personal situations with fake friends. I have a theory for it, and I have to emphasize it's just a theory, but it's my only possible way of rationalizing otherwise irrational mindset. If anybody's ever seen these shows with these hoarder houses, people living in absolute filth, not throwing away anything, or if they've seen Kitchen Nightmares, where Gordon Ramsay goes into people's restaurants and does inspections of their kitchen, and oftentimes finds months old, years old food in their freezers, in their kitchens, etc. A common theme with these people, I guess, is that they have weird little attachments to these objects, and like, they can't bear the thought of throwing it away, because it's like throwing away a part of them. And it sounds a bit conflicting when you're talking about human beings, but maybe the reason why they don't want to just toss you to the wind is because they still have a little bit of a weird attachment to you, because after all, you are a human being with real human emotions. And that's not at all to justify the fact that there's people that will keep you uninformed on where you're slipping up, but it's just to offer a possible explanation. This pretty much sounds synonymous with what I was talking about in my previous video, and in some ways it is, but there's little subtle differences between being an abandoner and being a fake friend. The abandoner wants absolutely nothing to do with you. They do not respond to your text, they don't want to engage with you, they don't even want to see your face. The fake friend doesn't like you for pretty much the same reasons, but instead of distancing themselves from you for whatever sadistic fucking reason, they keep being in your life, they keep engaging with you, they're a presence in your life. And I've also often found that the fakeness is often the catalyst for the abandonment. In other words, fakeness is to abandonment what oxygen is to an inferno. And often the person's heart is like a little canister of toxic material, and after months and months, years and years of just building up the pressure inside, it explodes. Too much pressure just creates a disaster, an explosive fucking disaster. This subject is just about as triggering for me as abandonment, because it's the foundation for it. And unfortunately, I've dealt with as much fake friends as I have abandonment. I still deal with these people to this fucking day. And what sucks is that even when I open my arms up to the criticisms and to the feedback on what they may not like about me, they still choose to be silent about it. And it's like, how the fuck do you get through to these people when you're literally facilitating a space for them to throw mud at you, and they still choose to not do that? They let all their dirty laundry pile up to the point where it becomes an absolute toxic environment. That can't be healthy for anybody. Now, there are occasions where after all those months and months or years of letting the dog shit flood their lawn, then they eventually decide to let the floodgates loose, and they spill all the problems that they kept in here for so long and act like it's your fault and that you're the villain. And you know, you should be glad that you got answers at least, right? Well, yes and no. Mostly no. And let me explain why. Let's say you just moved into a house. You just bought a house. And the first week or so, you start seeing bed bugs and spiders. The rational approach would be to kill the ones that you see right away and find out where they're coming from so that they don't start to reproduce and start to create an infestation. But instead, you don't take care of the problem, and you eventually just leave them be. You let them, you don't take care of the root of the problem, and they keep breeding and breeding and breeding, and eventually there becomes just so much of them that it becomes an absolute infestation, and eventually you have to move out and just burn your whole fucking house down. When you start seeing these off signs in a friend of yours, not telling them right away is going to build up so much pressure in here that the thought of them, the feeling of being around them, is going to be just the most uncomfortable feeling in the fucking world. And when you let these issues slide and let them build up, and then all of a sudden decide to let the floodgates loose and dump all the water on me, I'm going to be pissed off, and rightfully so, because you should have fucking told me to begin with, and I would have been happy to fix it. And you could have avoided all of the frustration and the pressure that you felt by just telling me right away and letting me fix it and painting me as the villain. Like, are you fucking serious? That it's not to say that it's discouraged that you tell somebody what's pissing you off about them, even if it is so late in the game, even if it is pretty much all built up. And also, me being pissed off about that is not merely about the fact that you're criticizing me, because then I'd actually be an arrogant douchebag. But it's about the fact that you hid shit from me. You didn't tell me what was pissing you off about me. So you let it build up, and you let all the frustrations get to you to the point where when it all does come out, you're extremely hostile about it, and you paint me to be the villain in it when I didn't even fucking know what I was doing wrong. It's unfair. If you're a friend of mine, I expect you to tell me what I'm doing wrong so I can fix it, and I will do the absolute same to you. And I have done that to a number of people. That's what relationships are about. It's about collaboration and honesty. And if you legitimately cannot find either within yourself, you're not a real friend. You can easily stop being a fake friend at any moment just by being fucking honest. There are much easier ways to going about dealing with somebody who's frustrating you for any reason than leaving fellow human beings in the fucking dust and leaving them completely clueless as to why the relationship eventually stopped. Now, to conclude this video, I do not want this video format to become a trend on my channel. I have many other passions that I want to do. I have other ideas I want to make content surrounding, but some of this social friendship bullshit that I've been going through for the last goddamn however many years has just been eating away at me to such an extent that I can't just keep it confined to my little circle of people, my little social media platforms. As of right now, this is my biggest platform, so me making these videos is both an attempt to just get all this shit off my chest and have anybody possible here, and also to call out to these people who may be watching this, who have not been honest with me and have left me in the dust for whatever reason, to stand up for being a friend or whatever, and letting me know where I'm slipping up, and hopefully, emphasis on hopefully, this video and my previous one, or any future ones I may make, God forbid, become the catalyst for some actual reconciliation to happen, and for these people who I fucking cared about with all my goddamn heart, who for whatever reason had issues with me, to be fucking honest and let me know where I'm slipping up so I can fix whatever. Thank you.